Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Stock Market Today. It's Ali, Coram, and Ken Shreve here with a breakdown of the action in today's session, Wednesday, July 10th, live from Los Angeles. And we had a bullish session, Ken, for those major indexes. And of course, as always, a lot to talk about underneath the surface.
Yeah, I mean, another record closing high for the Nasdaq, up a little over 1%, but good day for gold stocks. So I wanted to take a look at Newmont, NEM. Also in the healthcare space, Ensign Group, ENSG. And finally, a lot of selling in the software sector, but CyBR is really still looking pretty good here, CYBR.
Okay, we'll check in on those three names, but first let's analyze those major indexes. The Nasdaq today up 1.2%, the S&P 500 up a little more than 1% on the day, and the Dow was up about 1.1%. Same for the Russell 2000. So, Ken, what was driving the bullishness in today's session, you think?
Well, you'd have to think that a lot of it had to do with Taiwan Semiconductor. This is a leader in the chip space. Very extended up here after a breakout over a 148.43 buy point. But they came out with June sales. They release monthly sales every month, and June sales much better than expected. They also guided Q2 revenue well above expectations. So this is the world's largest chip foundry. NVIDIA, Apple, Broadcom, Qualcomm, all big customers of TSM. So I think that what TSM said about sales and definitely drove that buying in the tech sector today.
So now we have pretty nice winning streak here for the NASDAQ. And I think a great example of just when you see the market getting extended, that doesn't necessarily mean that it will pull back, especially when you're in these bull cycles. Things can go up higher for longer than one might think, Ken.
Yeah, especially when everybody is waiting for the pullback. So we're up 7 days in a row here, and clearly if this was an individual stock, you'd be looking at it and say, geez, maybe I would be taking some profits here, or recognizing that it's getting quite extended. I think the Nasdaq finally climbed to 9% above the 50-day moving average. It was 8% above its 50-day moving average back in July, ahead of a little bit of a market pullback. So at this point, again, everybody's kind of expecting a pullback, but these bull runs can continue. I said on IBD Live this morning that I think the risk reward is maybe just a little bit out of growth investors' favor here, because over the past several days, even when indexes have been going up, we've seen a lot of selling underneath the surface among leading growth stocks, and that was more of the same today. But still seeing a lot of good action in the semiconductor sector for sure.
Yeah, right. And what you're speaking to definitely makes new buys tricky. But it seems like if you do take that step back, if you are in stocks that have been working, have been in those leaders, maybe switch to the weekly charts and put those downdrafts in perspective if you have profit cushion and if they're holding above key levels. So we'll take
Yeah,
things day by
definitely.
day.
Definitely, and it's kind of interesting to see the selling in software stocks. I mean, very
Right.
impressive performance for the Nasdaq today. Even with the enterprise software group was down again today. Not a bad performance for IGV. This is the kind of the software ETF. Came down close to its 21-day moving average and closed off lows. So this IGV doesn't look too bad here, but you can see 3 days of selling. So software stocks, restaurant stocks that have led the market for several months have come under pressure. But seeing some groups that could be willing to assume new leadership here.
Okay, let's also take a look at the S&P 500. Ken, less stretched than the Nasdaq, but let's see here. We're now about 5.5% above the 50-day line. Does that also seem like now even more so a level where we could expect some sort of pause or pullback, or at least, again, making it a little more difficult to stick your neck out there with new buys at this time?
Yeah, it's funny, while breadth has been suspect for a while on the Nasdaq, it has actually been improving on the NYSE, and you've just had some other whether it's healthcare stocks, biotech stocks, some financial stocks, have helped the S&P 500 here. So, just like the Nasdaq though, up for looks like seven days in a row, not as extended from the 50-day line as the Nasdaq, but still, at a level here where if you're still holding some big winners, probably not a bad idea to take some profits here and play
Mm,
a little bit of defense. I mean, on the one hand,
yeah.
like on IBD Live this morning, I was saying I kind of have one foot in and one foot out, trimming back
The
some
hokey pokey
winners.
market, Ken?
Yeah, exactly. So it's gotten a lot trickier. Lots of extended stocks out there, but we did add a new name to leaderboard today, so been kind
Yeah.
of slowly increasing our exposure. But
Hmm.
got to be careful in a market like this.
Yeah.
A lot of extended stocks, and we have that big inflation report, tomorrow, which should
E-
be interesting.
Exactly. Yeah. So, what should we be thinking about in terms of preparing for that?
Well, I mean, the number that I'm looking for is the core year-over-year price increase. It's actually expected to increase a little bit from May, which isn't great, but year-over-year core prices are expected to be up 3.5%. In May, they were up 3.4%. So a little bit of an upward pressure on prices there, but we'll see how the market reacts. We've been waiting for whether it's the personal income and spending and that PCE deflator that the Fed looks at. We've been waiting for the market to react negatively to, inflation data, and it just hasn't done it yet. So I think the market is
Hmm.
still feeling, okay about the economy, even though economic data has definitely
Hmm.
softened in recent weeks.
Yeah, and we just had Powell on Capitol Hill too for the past couple days, so nothing spooking the market there.
No, and market is still expecting two rate cuts this year. When we saw the Fed minutes from the June meeting, the committee members were still signaling one cut. Market still thinks there's going to be two cuts here, so we'll have to see. But he did conclude 2 days of testimony on Capitol Hill today. Market seemed to take the testimony in stride. Really didn't say anything new, but still in a
Mhm.
confirmed uptrend here, and
That we are.
we're going to take it day by day here.
All right. Okay, let's take a look at Newmont. This is NEM. You mentioned gold stock. So looks like that rotation that we saw starting last week coming into this group, it picked up steam today with Newmont up 3.6%.
Yeah, a lot of these gold stocks gave their early buy signals last week, just before the July 4th holiday. So you can see on July 3rd, when Newmont initially made that move and moved above its key moving averages, and then it actually broke out for real today above that 44.59 entry. Now, haven't really seen upside volume roll into the stock here. I've seen a few higher volume gains in recent days, but even today's breakout, even though volume was quite a bit higher than the prior two sessions, still below average. So this is another thing that we're dealing with in this market. The Nasdaq hitting new highs in light volume, and several stocks also making new highs in light volume here. And that's just something to, it kind of raises an eyebrow, but doesn't mean you got to sell everything and move to the sidelines. Just something to keep in mind. So kind of a low
Right.
volume breakout for Newmont, but, closed up near its highs and looks pretty good.
Hmm. Let's also take a look at ENSG. This is Ensign in the medical long term care group, which is ranked 11 out of the 197 groups that we track, Ken. So maybe some sneaky leadership here. This isn't a group that we talk about a whole lot, but because it's climbed in the rankings, I mean, I think that's the beauty of our a data driven approach here is groups that you may not think about. If the data is showing, hey, you need to be focusing there, it's going to come on our radar. So this group has in recent weeks, and look at this breakout here today.
Yeah, well, my colleague and I, Dave Chung, we're talking about this one this morning, and there's a lot to like about the setup here. The relative strength line is lagging a little bit, but we're just really encouraged by the stock's accumulation distribution rating of A minus. There's been some nice up volume as the stock has risen, close to highs, and then today, we just looked at that low volume breakout for Newmont, but Ensign, actually got a good more volume today, and closed up near its high, still in that 5% buy zone. So we just added a little more healthcare exposure today to the leaderboard model portfolio, and we're very pleased to see the stock close up near highs, because it looked like a round of buying late in the session that really resulted in a close near highs for Ensign.
Yeah, a compelling close and a compelling volume signature here as well. And with that lagging relative strength line, I mean, I guess that's a little bit of the push and pull of, you know, breadth, right? So if we want more breadth, then we're going to have to see these stocks that have been not participating as much as some of the leading groups starting to come up. So I guess that's why the one of the reasons why the team is giving this one a shot here.
Yeah, definitely. And we just kind of always weigh the positives and negatives. And a few stocks are going to be perfect. You can always pick them apart. Another thing we're talking about here is this is not the fundamental powerhouse that we typically like to target on leaderboard. It's been a good grower, but for a mid cap stock. Market cap of just over 7 billion. Growth rate is okay. A little bit light than what we normally like to see, but return on equity of 20%, and a really steady track record of earnings and revenue.
Yeah.
So we felt like the positives clearly outweighed the negatives here.
All right, and then we do have earnings coming up in 2 weeks, so that's another part of the calculus, right? Is there enough time to build a profit cushion heading into earnings? And so with this one, we've got about 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks in 15 days. It could even be that could be almost three weeks of trading here. So we'll see, but should be enough time to build a little profit cushion here. We got a decent entry, and nice to see the close near highs, so we're profitable on it. But this again, having some exposure to healthcare when you're seeing money coming out of software and some of the other
Right.
leaders could make sense. So we just targeted
Mhm.
a heavy volume breakout today from a good looking base with stock with a high composite rating. So it did definitely check a lot of boxes here.
Yeah, for sure. And speaking of software, CyberArk, this is in the security software group, is holding firm and setting up. Looks like a little handle starting to form here with support around the 21-day line. It seems like Ken, and you were mentioning this earlier, it's more of that enterprise software group, do you think, that is, taking some heat right now, or we're feeling the heat with those a little bit versus this security software area?
Well, I mean, I was looking at some of the weaker performing groups today. Enterprise software was in there, and medical software was under pressure today. Security software group, which is CyberArk is a member of, that was down 1.2%. So to see CyberArk up a 0.5% today. Also liked yesterday when there was more selling in the software sector. This one, came down below its 10-day moving average, but really closed nicely off lows. So it showed some support yesterday, and then again with this industry group down a little more than 1% today. Good to see CyberArk bucking the trend. So it's at that point where we could start to see a handle area form, maybe some downward drifting price action, and we'll keep an eye on this one for a breakout. We have it on the watch list, and like the fundamentals here, and again, speaking of the volume profile, as the
Mhm.
stock moved through that 250 level, look at all that accumulation as the stock rose above 250, and lots of up volume, heavy volume up days, and so that's a positive. So always good to see stocks bucking the trend of selling in a particular group, and CyberArk is doing that. So good watch list name, and we'll see if it can move out of this long pattern here.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you, Ken. And thanks everyone for tuning in. That is it from us for today. But we'll be back with more tomorrow morning on IBD Live. And we hope you join us, investors.com/IBD Live for all the details. We will see you there. And then we'll also see you right back here tomorrow after the close.